Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3. Krishna is the source of all incarnations, text number 2. The verse reads, Yasyam basi shayanayasa yoga nidram vitan vataha nabhi hrada ambujad asit brahma vishva srijam patihi. Please repeat. Yasya, whose? Ambasi, in the water. Shayanasya, lying down. Yoga nidram, sleeping in meditation. Vitan vataha, ministering. Nabhi, navel. Hrada, out of the lake. Ambujat, from the lotus. Asit, was manifested. Brahma, the grandfather of the living beings. Vishva, the universe. Srijam, the engineers. Pati, master. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest. Purport. The first Purusha is the Karana Dakashayi Vishnu. From his skin holes, innumerable universes have sprung up. In each and every universe, the Purusha enters as the Garbo Dakashayi Vishnu. He is lying within the half of the the half of the universe which is full with the water of his body. And from the navel of Garbo Dakashayi Vishnu, Vishnu has sprung the stem of the lotus flower, the birthplace of Brahma, who is the father of all living beings and the master of all the demigod engineers engaged in the perfect design and working of the universal order. Within the stem of the lotus, there are 14 divisions of planetary systems, and the earthly planets are situated in the middle. Upwards there are other better planetary systems, and the topmost system is called Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. Downwards from the earthly planetary system, there are 7 lower planetary systems inhabited by the Asuras and similar other materialistic living beings. From Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, there is expansion of the Chirodakashayi Vishnu, who is the collective Paramatma of all living beings. He is called Hari, and from him all incarnations within the universe are expanded. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Purusha avatar is manifested in 3 features. First, the Karana Dakashayi, who creates aggregate material ingredients in the Mahatattva. Second, the Garbhodakashayi, who enters in each and every universe. And third, the Chirodakashayi Vishnu, who is the Paramatma of every material object, organic or inorganic. One who knows these plenary features of the personality of Godhead knows Godhead properly, and thus the knower becomes freed from the material conditions of birth, death, old age, and disease. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In this shloka, the subject matter of Mahavishnu is summarized. The Mahavishnu lies down in some part of the spiritual sky by his own free will. Thus he lies on the ocean of Karana, from where he glances over his material nature, and the Mahatattva is at once created. Thus electrified by the power of the Lord, the material nature at once creates innumerable universes, just as in due course a tree decorates itself with innumerable grown fruits. The seed of the tree is sown by the cultivator, and the tree or creeper in due course becomes manifested with so many fruits. Nothing can take place without a cause. The Karana ocean is therefore called the causal ocean. Karana means causal. We should not foolishly accept the atheistic theory of creation. The description of the atheists is given in the Bhagavad Gita. The atheist does not believe in the Creator, but he cannot give a good theory to explain the creation. Material nature has no power to create without the power of the Purusha, just as a Prakriti or woman cannot produce a child without the connection of a Purusha or man. The Purusha impregnates and the Prakriti delivers. We should not expect milk from the fleshy bags on the neck of a goat, although they look like breastly nipples. Similarly, we should not expect any creative power from the material ingredients. We must believe in the power of the Purusha who impregnates Prakriti or nature. Because the Lord wished to lie down in meditation, the material energy created innumerable universes at once, and in each of them the Lord lay down, and thus all the planets and the different paraphernalia were created at once by the will of the Lord. The Lord has unlimited potencies, and thus he can act as he likes by perfect planning, although personally he has nothing to do. No one is greater than or equal to him. That is the verdict of the Vedas. So once more, this verse reads, Yasyam bhasi shayanasya yoganidram vitan vataha nabhi hradam bujad asid brahma vishvasrijam patihi. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest. We can repeat this together. A part of the Purusha lies down within the water.
Apart from the Purusha lies down in the water
Of the universe.
of the universe.
From the navel lake of his body
From the navel lake of his body
sprouts a lotus stem,
sprouts a lotus stem,
and from the lotus flower atop this stem,
and from the lotus flower atop this stem,
Brahma, the master of all engineers
Brahma, the master of all engineers
in the universe,
in the universe,
becomes manifest.
becomes manifest.
Lokam karoti bachalam mangam langayate garim kripadram bande Sri Guru Ninatanam. So as Srila Prabhupada begins his purport, the first Purusha is the Karanadakashayi Vishnu, or Mahavishnu. This word Purusha is, of course we know, and we have seen in Srila Prabhupada's books that it means soul. In the case of the Lord, then the term Parama Purusha, or Purushottam, which means, Parama Purusha means Supreme Purusha, Purushottam means also the same, Supreme, Ultimate Purusha, to distinguish the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the ordinary souls. So Purusha means soul. Purusha also means enjoyer. So the Lord is Atma Rama. It is his nature to be full of enjoyment. But in a scripture called the Sattvata Samhita, we find, or Sattvata Tantra, we find an interesting explanation of the word Purusha, which is relevant to here. So Pur, just like Puri, Jagannath Puri. Puri means city. And Usha means one who goes within. So this body, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita is called a city of 9 gates. Similarly, the entire universe can be considered Puri, a city. It is the vast material body of the Lord himself. So the Purusha, in other words, he enters into the material elements. This is what we're hearing in the purport. So when we consider these Purusha expansions, as I was saying in my seminar before, we have to start with Vasudeva. This is the Supreme Lord who is in transcendence. At Vasudeva level, the pastime of creation is not manifesting. So everything there is on the level of Vaikuntha. But when Vasudeva detects that some of his parts and parcels, some of the living entities are desiring independently, then he expands. And the first expansion, or Purusha, is the Mahavishnu, Karanadakashayi Vishnu. So he expands into the Mahatattva. And the Mahatattva, that has two features. So initially it is abhyakta, it is just looking like a dark cloud, nothing distinct within. The material potential is there, but it is inert, and this is Srila Prabhupada's point here, that the material nature can do nothing by itself. By itself, as Prabhupada explained, material nature is nirvishesha. Now, we know this word. We sing to Srila Prabhupada, nirvishesha shunyavadi parshacha deshatarane. So this word nirvishesha is referring to the philosophy of the impersonalists. They say there is a God, but near, no, without, vishesha means characteristics. Characteristics like name, form, quality, activity, dimension, you see, purpose, desire. This is all vishesha. So they think God is nirvishesha. But actually, Srila Prabhupada said, the material energy is nirvishesha, not God. And this is very, very interesting. This helps us understand why the Mayavadis are called Mayavadis. You see, Maya means the material nature. And Vadi means, Prabhupada once said, one who sticks to. Actually, Vada we can nicely translate into English as ism. Mayavada means Maya-ism. So it is a philosophy of Maya. The Mayavadis, their whole goal is actually the material nature, not the Lord, because of this conception of nirvishesha. God is not nirvishesha. They say they want to realize nirvishesha Brahman, but actually God is not nirvishesha. If Brahman means the source of everything, the Lord, Param Brahma, and he is not nirvishesha. So what is nirvishesha? Nirvishesha is the primordial state of the Lord's energy, the material energy. And this energy is manifesting out of the rays of the Brahmajyoti. So this is explained in some detail by Srila Prabhupada in a later purport in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he's talking about Brahman and Pradhan. So Pradhan means that primordial state of material nature, which is abhyakta, means unmanifest. And Prabhupada saying, he's describing one can even say it's a puzzling relationship between Pradhan, material nature, and the Brahman, the rays of Brahmajyoti. One cannot say that they are the same, yet it is very difficult to distinguish between the two. So they're very close, intermingled. And in Brahma Samhita, Yasya Prabha Prabharo Jagananda Kotim, there it is said, out of the Prabha, out of the effulgence of the Lord, then millions and millions and millions of universes. Jagananda Koti Kotishvur means millions upon millions of Jagat Anda, means Jagat, universe. Anda means they're shaped like eggs, circular, ovoid as they say, in shape. And these are streaming out of the rays of the Brahmajyoti, like on a bright day through curtains like this, these window shades, window blinds. So when they're open, then you have the blinds down but open so that the light can come through. On a very bright day, you can see through these rays of light streaming through the blinds, you can see little particles of dust, isn't it? Especially on summer day. So this gives us a very nice image. The rays of Brahman streaming from the body of the Lord, Lord Vasudeva, and then within these rays there is appearing the universes. So Mahavishnu, he enters into this cloud of Mahatattva, the primordial cloud. And he enters into it. He lies down. He's in Yoga Nidra. And so from the effulgence emanating from his body, then the universes are coming out. And when they're coming out, that means it is Vyakta then. It is manifest. This is the Vyakta Mahatattva. Now we are able to see the different elements, material elements. They are manifesting earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. These different material elements are now manifesting in the universes. So, yes, when the Lord associates with the inert prakriti, then karana, the creation, takes place. So, particularly in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is all described in great detail. So then after the universes manifest, after they come out of the body of Mahavishnu, then he is entering into each universe. And that expansion of himself is called the Hiranyagarbha. Garbha means embryo. So at this stage, the universe is embryonic. It has just come out. It is not fully developed like an embryo in the womb. It is in the process, as the universes are coming out, they're in the process of developing. Actually, the universes, they come out because the body is lying in the body of the Lord is lying in the Karana Jal, the causal ocean. So they're coming out of his body like bubbles. Like if you have some container, rubber container, which has air in it, and you put it underwater and squeeze it, and bubbles will come out. So like that, bubbles are emanating from the body of the Lord. They're floating in the Garbhodak ocean, the Karana ocean. They're floating in the Karana ocean like foam on the surface. And Karana, causal. Why is it called causal ocean? This is interesting. Because this causal ocean, we were speaking of Brahman, Pradhan, so it is the same substance. It is liquid Brahmajyoti, liquid Brahman energy. And the Pradhan is there also. The material ingredients in potential are there. So it is said that the Karana Jal, that water, is potent with all the mystic powers. You know that yogis, they work to develop 8 mystic powers, Astasiddhi, like the power to be greater than the greatest or smaller than the smallest, the power to even walk on the rays of light, like as if it was a staircase. One can walk on the rays of light. So many these 8 mystic powers are described. Those powers are pervading the Karana Jal. The Karana Jal is the essence of these mystic powers. So when the universe is floating in the Karana Jal, then these mystic powers, they're infusing the universe and causing it to expand. It's growing. Prabhupada said because actually someone asked Srila Prabhupada. Because the scientists now, the modern scientists, have this theory from whatever observations they can do. They have theorized that the universe is expanding. So someone asked Srila Prabhupada about this, and Srila Prabhupada said, yes, he confirmed. Because the universe is floating in the Karna Jal and being energized by it, and thus it is expanding. And this is how everything is coming out. This is how the universe is gradually taking shape, going through the different stages of development. Just like, again, Garbha means womb, embryo. And where is the embryo situated? It is in the womb of the mother. And the womb is energizing, feeding, giving nutrients to this embryo so that it can develop. So the causal ocean is the womb, the ultimate womb of the entire material creation. All of the universes, everything is getting sustained, getting nurtured by the powerful waters of the Karna ocean. There's the universes, and they are expanding, developing, and the Lord enters into them. Again, we're speaking of Purusha. First he enters into the cloudy Avyakta Mahatattva that lays down on the causal ocean. So first Purusha. Second Purusha, his second entrance is into the next stage of material manifestation, the universes. So as Hiranya Garbha, Hiranya, yes, means golden. I wanted to explain that. Garbha means womb, and Hiranya means golden. So these universes, at that stage, after they've come out from the Lord, they're golden in color. Like so many wonderful looking gold balls. Like here we have some gold balls. So the universes look like, you can see these gold balls. And so the Lord enters into them. And he is then Garbhodakashe Vishnu. He, in each universe, lays down, just like Mahavishnu is laying down. So Garbhodakashe Vishnu lays down in the bottom half of the universe. And from his pores comes the waters, as we are sweating. So he sweats a whole ocean, the Garbhodak ocean, and he lays in that ocean. And he manifests the Vishvarup, the universal form. As I told you this in the seminar, this stage of creation is subtle, this middle stage. So the Garbhodakashe Purusha, he's the middle Purusha, the second of three. So this is the subtle stage of creation. So the universal form is a subtle manifestation. It is like in our minds, you see, say Padmasambhava Prabhu has been requested to go to Malaysia to deliver some seminars. So while you're still here in Auckland, you think about that, isn't it? You plan out, you imagine in your mind going there and what you will do, who you'll meet, and so what you'll say. All these things go through your mind. So this is the middle stage of creation. So at this time the Lord, he's manifesting the universal form, which is you could say, the theoretical design of the universe. So that appears on the mental platform. And simultaneously, the lotus flower described here grows up from in the Lord's navel. The Lord, Garbhodakashe Vishnu, is huge. I mean, we can only imagine. You think of this whole universe, and one half of it is filled with water. The scientists have still not found the edge of the universe. Last thing I read is that they're now coming to the conclusion that they think there is an edge to the universe, although they haven't found it. But for some reason, by what they have observed and their speculations, they're now leaning, because before they weren't sure. Some were arguing, maybe the universe has no limit, no end at all. But now the consensus is becoming that Well, there is an edge, but they still haven't found it, you see. So this universe is so vast. Actually, the universe is inconceivable to the human mind. But anyway, think on how huge it is. And one half, the lower half, is filled with the Garbhodak ocean, and then laying in that ocean, covering that ocean, is Garbhodakashe Vishnu. He's laying on Anantashesh. And Anantashesh is so huge, his spiritual form, there's thousands and thousands of heads. And these heads, each of these heads, is a resting place for the different planets. You see, we look at the night sky, we see so many stars and planets. Every one of them is a jewel on the head of Anantashesh. But we can't see Anantashesh because he's transcendental. But we get some idea how huge Anantashesh and Vishnu are. So then, from this lotus navel, as I said, he's so huge. So his navel is filled also with Garbhodak water, Garbhodak ocean water. So it's compared in this verse to a lake, such a gigantic lake. And growing out of this lake comes a lotus stem. It grows up to the top of the universe and opens. And this lotus stem is and flower, this is also said to be, I spoke of the Vishwarup, the universal form. So specifically, those lotus petals, when they open, they are manifesting the universal form. You see, the universal form is actually the form of the lotus. And in the middle is Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, he is a jiva like you and me, but he's the most qualified in the whole universe of all living entities. That one who is most qualified, then he is awarded the position of Brahma. And so, of course, now we will continue to read about Brahma and his activities. But when he appears there, he's bewildered. He has no knowledge yet, so he's looking, it says, because he desired to see in all directions. Therefore he manifests 4 heads to see in 4 directions simultaneously, and to try to understand where he was and what is his purpose. But he cannot understand either by sense perception, even with 8 eyes, he cannot see, nor even by investigation, mental speculation. It is said that he climbs down the lotus stem. He tries to climb down the lotus stem to find out where it came from, to find out his source. So he was climbing down and never reaching the end. As I said, the scientists have not found the edge of the universe. Although the universe has a limited dimension. In fact, from the Shastra, it seems to be not so big. It seems to be much smaller than the scientists say. But the scientists haven't found the edge. So this is inconceivable. It has a limited, measurable, you see, measurable diameter. But when one is in the middle of it, one cannot find the end of it. This means it is inconceivable. So this is multi-dimensional, in other words, because just to give an insight into that, it's the universe has different levels of movement of time. You see, in the highest regions, time is, compared to here, moving very, very, very slowly. So the life of Brahma is the existence span of the whole universe. 100 years of Brahma is some 300 trillion of our solar years. You see? And then as you come down, the scale of time is lessening. Now in our here earthly life, 100 years. So it means 100 yearly revolutions of the sun. And this is less than a blink of Brahma's eye. So there are not only dimensions of, this is known in science, there's not only dimensions of length and breadth and height, 3 dimensions, but there's a 4th dimension. What is that? You know the 4th dimension? You don't know? Oh, I thought you were into all these things.
Yeah.
4th dimension is time. Time is the 4th dimension. Because you have a length, you see, a length from me to you. But to cross that length takes time. You understand?
In
You
engineering
see.
it's called vector.
Huh?
In engineering it's called vector. Vector. Yeah.
Factor.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a question of how much time it takes to pass between. We can say in an instant what the distance is, but you can't cross the distance in that instant that it takes to say it. You see, so time is another dimension, and time is variable. You see, as I just said, there are different levels of time.
Yes.
So this has been understood to some degree by Einstein. This is he proposed this theory of relativity, which actually was not really new. It's the same theory has been thought by scientists in the far distant past, even in ancient times in the West, but he was the one who made it very mathematically rigorous. So this was the consideration of Einstein, that ultimately time and space are one thing, you see, because you cannot really understand space without time. Time has to be included. So therefore, in the relativity, they have this term space-time. They just call it space-time. They don't try to distinguish between time and space. They put it together. So, but time is variable. You see, time is variable. So therefore, you can have a universe which can be measured in so many yojanas, and yet when you're inside of it, it can be unlimited, because time is variable. Because it's a question of how long does it take you to go from one side to the other. And if time is variable, then it may take you forever, you see. And as a matter of fact, there's an interesting theory to help us understand. Now this is just a speculation, but by someone named, an American, he was a kind of a mystic or something, a really esoteric person who founded a cult in the 1800s. And so he had this idea of the universe. Again, it's a speculation, but if we consider the idea, then we can get some insight into this question of how the universe can be measurable, and yet at the same time seemingly you can't find the edge. So he was, this Cyrus Teed is the one who thought of this, what's called the hollow earth theory. Now, there are different forms of the hollow earth theory. One of them is, of course, that within the earth, under our feet, there is a great hollow space. And if you can get down there, then you'll find another world. Like Jules Verne wrote this book, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Anyway, in the 5th canto description of the universe, there are worlds beneath this earth. That's a fact. But Cyrus Teed's hollow earth was different than this. It's actually quite bizarre. He said that we are living inside the earth right now. He said the earth is the universe. You see, it's a ball that that is the dimensions of our earth, but we are not on it. We are in it, living on the inside. You see, like little ants walking around like that. And so the interesting thing about this theory, I read about this in a science magazine years and years ago, in the early 1980s. And the scientists, you see, this is, and I like to explain this to to devotees and to people, because it shows how, because someone was asking me when I was in Wellington about the apparent contradictions between the fifth canto description of the universe and what the scientists say. And I was answering, but what the scientists say, they're not at all sure of. And this theory proves it, because I was reading in the Science magazine that scientists admit that this theory of Cyrus Teed, that we're living inside the earthly globe, they say that it could be true. Because there's no way to prove that it's not true. Because if you, somehow or other, I don't know the mathematics of it, but they say somehow or other, if you're going to accept, if you can accept that you're living on a globe, you see, on a curved surface, then it could be curved this way too, you see? And the optics, would be the same. You see, either it's curving like this or it's curving like this, but it's the same thing. So because the curve is so vast, you see, therefore they say, it could be true. It could be true. Now, so if we live in a universe the size of the Earth, then someone would say, well, wait a minute, but that means then the moon is only a few miles away. And the moon can't be as big as the scientists now say that it is. They say it is something, 400,000 miles in diameter, I think. It must be much smaller, and it must be much closer. And the sun also must be much, much smaller and much, much closer. And everything must be close. So it must be easy to disprove. No, it's not. Not at all. And the reason is because of variable time. Because of variable space-time. This is the thing. So this magazine was explaining, so suppose that we would send some astronauts in a rocket to the moon. So they would take off from Earth, and as they would travel away, space-time would be shrinking. So that means what would really be happening is their spaceship and they themselves would be getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and consequently the distance that they have to travel gets longer and longer and longer. So it works out that they have to go the same amount of time to reach the moon, which is in one sense much closer. But by the time they get there, they're much smaller. So then the moon looks like 400,000 miles in diameter. And therefore the planets and everything are so far away, and the stars are so far away. But it all can be contained in a very small measurable place. Space. So that's why, some devotees, they become perplexed because they read in Srila Prabhupada's books that the universe is, I've forgotten the number now, something like 4 million or 4 billion yojanas across, which is, a yojana is 8 miles, so it's comparatively not at all big. It's about, in terms of what the scientists say, then the universe, according to Vedic calculation, is around the size of, approximately the size of the known solar system. I don't know, but they have this idea of Sun, and then Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Pluto is the last planet that they're sure of. They may be another one out there, but they're not quite sure about it. So I'm not sure how far out it goes, but it's approximately about the whole universe, according to what we get from the scriptures, is approximately only going out as far as our solar system. So then devotees think, but how can that be? The scientists speak of other galaxies far, far away, and how are we to understand? Well, this is how you understand, because of the relativity of time, or space-time. And Vedas definitely say that there is, so many levels of time, movement of time. So therefore, on Brahmaloka, you see, our whole life as a human being is less time than it takes for Brahma to blink an eye. So anyway, this is all very interesting. We have to get back to the point. So there's Garbhodakashay Vishnu. Brahma appears. He climbs down, yes, he climbs down and can't find the source of the lotus, no matter how far down he goes. So then he goes, then he hears the sound tapa tapa, and he goes back up. And there he meditates, performs austerities for 1 full day of his time, which is 4,300,000,000 years of our time times 2, day and night. And then the Lord manifests Vedic knowledge in Brahma's heart and appears before him and empowers him to create. And then when he creates, that means the gross form, based on this universal form, subtle, universal design, he creates the gross form of the universe, including the gross bodies of the living entities. And the Lord enters into every one of those bodies in the heart, and that is Chirodakashay Vishnu, the last Purusha. Now the Usha, the place or the city, is the bodies of the living entities, and he enters into them along with the Jiva. So, the Lord has unlimited potency, Srila Prabhupada concludes his purport, and thus he can act as he likes by perfect planning, although personally he has nothing to do. No one is greater than or equal to him. That is the verdict of the Vedas. You see, what is Krishna doing in all this, as we've described? He's laying down. Such a wonderful conception of God, that he's just laying down. He's laying down in the Mahatattva cloud, he's laying down in the Garbhodakasha ocean, and he's, well, it's described not laying down, but standing in the heart, but also just standing. And Parasya Shaktir Vividhaya Shudyate, his energies are serving him. He has nothing to do, but because he's the supreme potent, therefore his potencies, they are serving him. And as Srila Prabhupada says, he can do anything he likes through these potencies by perfect planning. Everything works perfectly. So, this is why Krishna is so wonderful. Okay, I'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Any question? Yes?
Multiple questions.
For multiple dimensions.
Basically, my understanding probably is coming from the Mayavadi. I got the basic thing. So I'm just trying to shift towards, is the matter and spirit, is it a continuum that you go from matter and then you finally eventually, or is it two separate things?
Well, yes. It is one thing, in the sense that matter and spirit are energies of Krishna. So it is one thing, but then within the one, there are divisions. So Srila Prabhupada says that we can speak of 3, basically. There are 3 divisions of the Lord's energy. So there his Swarup Shakti, that means the energy that serves him personally. You see, his internal energy. You see? Then there's the marginal potency, which is us, jivas. That means it can go either way. We can be admitted into Swarup Shakti, or we can go the other way. Then there's the external energy. And the external energy is the Maya Shakti, and that is creating the illusion. It's creating the illusion of a separate existence from that of the Lord. And this is why some of the marginal jivas become attracted to that, because they think they want to be independent. But you see, it is an illusion. Now what does that mean? It means that the material energy is actually the Lord's spiritual energy, but acting as if it is material. Because everything is personal. So when my spiritual master, when Srila Prabhupada initiated one of my god sisters with the name, her name was Bhakti Nalain before, and he named her Mahamaya Devi Dasi. So everyone was, there at the initiation was kind of like, wow, why Prabhupada would call her that? and Prabhupada, he noticed everyone kind of like this, and so he smiled and he said, Mahamaya is another face of Srimati Radharani. So, actually we will find in the Bhagavatam that this primordial material energy, in the very beginning, this creative side of this or creative manifestation of matter, when it is empowered by the Lord to create, then this is Goddess Kali. Goddess Kali is this primordial, you see, with all her fantastic potencies coming out. This is Goddess Kali. So Goddess Kali is very fearsome to see. She has 10 arms, she's black, she has long red tongue, she has 3 eyes, she has wild hair, she has garland of skulls or heads, she has miniskirt of cut off arms. See, arms cut off here, sewn together, that's her skirt. So she's far ahead of the women today in fashion. And 10 hands with 10 weapons, you see, swords and choppers and spears and tridents. So this is Goddess Kali is fearsome. But actually, who is she really? She's actually, Prabhupada said, another face of Radharani. This is Srimati Radharani, but playing that role. Yeah. So this is nature of persons. Krishna is known as Natyadar in the Bhagavatam. Natyadar means the greatest actor. So Krishna has so many avatar forms. So he is Matsya avatar, but he is playing the role of a fish, playing the role of a tortoise, playing the role of Shukararupa, Varaha, playing the role of Nrsimhadev. He is Krishna in every case, but he's playing these roles. He's even playing the role of Lord Shiva. You see, Lord Shiva is the consort of Goddess Kali. This is another role of Lord Krishna. So this is material energy. Material energy is the spiritual energy, but acting materially. So just like an actor, an expert actor, we've seen. There was one movie that came out years and years ago, Tootsie. I remember reading about it. I didn't see it, but I just remembered reading in the newspaper about it. So this actor, Dustman Hoffman, he played a role of a woman.
Yeah,
you see, and they said he was so good you couldn't tell.
Yes.
So he's a man, but he's acting like a woman. You see, and you can't tell. You can't tell the difference. You see, so this is an actor. You see, an expert actor. He plays a part that he's clearly not, but he can convince you that that's him. So this is Maya. You see, Maya means illusion, and this is the Vaishnava. This is the perfect explanation of the Vaishnava understanding of Maya. The Mayavadis, more or less, they're saying Maya is not really there. They say Maya it's just created by our own mind or something. They have these ideas. It's an illusion that is just a product of our own thinking, which is nonsense. Because if this is the product of my thinking, so I want to think that everything be different than it is. I want to think that instead of being in Auckland, looking like this, I want to be in a city of gold and diamonds and some wonderful place like heaven. But I'm thinking, but it doesn't change. I'm still in Auckland. So it cannot be a creation of my mind. You see. So the Vaishnavas say no. Just like Madhvacharya, who's the founder of our Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya in Kali Yuga. So his philosophy is called Tattvavada. And it's the exact opposite of Mayavada. And it's so wonderful philosophy. Because Mayavada means everything is illusion. You see? Well, this is all illusion. But Tattvavada means everything is real. This is Madhvacharya's philosophy. Everything is real. It means even the illusion is real. Because it is based on reality. An actor, if he acts in a role that convinces you, if Dustin Hoffman can convince you that he's a woman, that's a real illusion. That's an illusion, but it's real. You see? You respond to him as if he's a woman. He's a man coming in, and you say, "Oh, good morning, ma'am. Would you please sit down?" So it's real. You see, you're really in illusion. So this is Madhva's philosophy. It's very good. Realityism, not Maya, not illusionism. Realityism, and it's a glorification of Krishna. Krishna is so wonderful and so expert. So his Maya, yes, it is illusion in the sense of literal Maya, not this. Dustin Hoffman, he's not this. He's not a woman. But he's acting like a woman, and you believe it because he's so expert. So Krishna is so expert. So he instructs his spiritual energies act like matter, and they act, and we believe it. You see?
So actually, material matter is not matter; it's spirit.
It's spirit, but simply by trying to understand this in some theoretical way, you cannot overcome matter. This is the Mayavadis think it's all in the mind. The Mayavadis think, yes, all you have to do is just understand that this is not real, that all that exists is Brahman, and then you're liberated. But no, it's not like that. Like this, that sometimes they become very perverted with this philosophy. Like there was this Rajneesh, you probably heard of him, this Mayavadi guru, who's fortunately now left this world. He was very inauspicious. And so he was taking this idea that it's just in your mind to justify anything. You see, then if it's all in your mind, then what's the use of, for example, following any regulative principles? All you have to do is just remember that everything is illusion, and then you can do what you want, because just by keeping that thought in your mind, you're supposedly liberated. And just by remembering that, then according to him, there will be no karma, no reaction. Just as we remember, oh, it's illusion. I'm really God. I'm really Brahman, and this is all imagination. There's nothing to worry about. I can do what I want. I remember there was also, way back in the 70s, I was with Vishnu Jana Maharaj, and we did 3 days at a kind of spiritual festival, which was in a town called Davis in California. There's a University of California branch, UCLA, UC Davis, University of California Davis. UCLA is another branch in Los Angeles. And so at this campus, they were having a spiritual festival. And so we were representing the Hare Krishna movement. We put up a booth and we were distributing prasadam and books. And one of the guest speakers was the famous Baba Ram Das, who was Richard Alpert, Dr. Richard Alpert. He was an associate the close associate of Timothy Leary, the LSD guru. So Richard Alpert, he went to India after having been with Timothy Leary for a while. Then he went to India, and he got initiated by some Mayavadi there, and got the name Baba Ram Das. Then came back and was passing himself off as some kind of guru to all the hippies. So he gave a lecture one day, and I didn't go to see him, but it was on the loudspeaker, so I heard what he was saying. And so he was saying that some people think that spiritual life means giving up the pizza. Of course, in ISKCON we also don't give up the pizza. But his explanation was, he said, no, you don't give up the pizza. You go on eating the pizza. But you have compassion for yourself in the karmic predicament of your eating the pizza. In other words, you're supposed to eat the pizza, but then you're supposed to also remember that this is all Maya, this is illusion, this is a kind of, like he said, have compassion for it. You have to feel sorry for yourself that I'm in the midst of this illusion. And then that he said, just by thinking that way, then you're free from the karma. You see? You can eat the pizza then. No problem. No karma if you're just thinking, like that. Here I am eating the pizza. Isn't this illusion? But if you remember it's illusion, then it's not illusion. You see, so this attitude is that, then they make this illusion into something like a wisp, If you just remember that it's illusion, then it can't affect you. Well, it's not like that. You take a heavy hammer, a 2-pound hammer, and now then say, okay, this is just illusion. This is just illusion. It's not real. And then hit yourself in the head. What will happen?
It's an illusion.
You see? That won't save you from terrible pain. So therefore, Madhvacharya, he preached this philosophy of tattvavad. Everything is real. Because your saying it's illusion won't help you. So we have to understand the reality. The reality is actually Krishna. Krishna and his energies. And they act as matter.
So all those energies are existing here.
Yes.
Internal. Which means if we become Krishna conscious, this is the spiritual world.
Yes. Exactly.
So going back to Godhead is here.
Yes.
It's not living here and going somewhere else.
Well, it's also that. But because there are two kinds of liberation. There's Jivan Mukta and Videha Mukta. You see, you have to give up the body. That's the fallacy of, that's a potential mistake in your logic. Because you become Krishna conscious doesn't mean that, now my body is spiritual and it will live forever. Here, and everything is spiritual. No, the body, this physical body still has to die. But, so when one is liberated in the body, Krishna conscious in the body, that's called Jivan Mukta.
It means the change of consciousness.
Yes. So it means he's liberated. It means he's Krishna conscious. He's seen beyond this material display into the realm of Krishna, to the realm of spirit. But still the body is there. You see, he's using this body in Krishna's service. And the body will end. So then when the body ends, then this is called Videha Mukti. So then the soul goes back home, back to Godhead, which means that the soul is then admitted into the internal lila of Krishna and takes up
which is
part.
Beyond the Gabodaksai Vishnu.
Yes.
Because Gabodaksai Vishnu, if you, from what we understand, my limited understanding, has got both the spiritual, because the universe is material. Gabodaksai Vishnu is spiritual.
Spiritual, yes.
So the three external, internal energy already exists at the very, very...
That's true.
And which is same as what the scientist says, that design of creation is repeating itself over and over, right up to our own body, where there is the repetition from one level to the other, and we are just a minute repetition of the original.
Yes, that's microcosm, macrocosm. Vyasti Samasti in Sanskrit. This body is called Chudra Brahmanda, which means the little universe. And whatever is happening in this body is derived from the total universe. In fact, the fact that we have Paramatma here, there's Paramatma.
So if you look at the Gabodaksai creation, which is the Paramatma is Gabodaksai Vishnu.
Yep, he's the super soul of the whole universe. The universe is a total entity. Yeah.
And And the scientist says if you look at the different design, you look at a plant, a small little design exists in the whole plant.
Yes.
And then there's small little, and if you go up to the space and you look down on Earth, there's a small little design which is on the shore, which is represent the whole. So this is occurring over and over again.
Yes, yes. That's proving that there is intelligent design. So we have to know whose intelligence that is Krishna.
So as far as the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, there's no lila.
Well, they have their.
You see, they're always lying down.
Yes, but their lila is called Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Lila, which means creation, maintenance, destruction. It's also known as the Vyavahar Lila. Their lila is with this material energy. You see.
Their lila is not with the soul.
No, their lila is also because the soul is part of the creation. But when we speak of Krishna's internal, his eternal lila, Nitya lila, then that is the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu. You see, when they're laying down, that is what they're thinking of. They in themselves are thinking of Krishna's pastimes because they're expansions of Krishna. So their heart is there. But externally speaking, they're engaged with their material energy, which is again just a transformation of their spiritual energy. So this is, you see, this is called Vyavahar Lila, as to distinguish it from the Lord's Nitya or Madhura Lila, his eternal and very intimate, sweet pastime in the spiritual world. It's a Lila of the Lord. And so that's why I'm saying there is a distinction, because to be liberated here, Jivan Mukta, means that one is using everything, all of this material energy at our disposal, in sacrifice to the Lord. The Lord here, in these Purusha expansions, he is the Yagya Purush, the Lord of sacrifice. So this is Vyavahar. Vyavahar, the word Vyavahar means something like conventional. You see, it means while you're here in the material world, this is what you do. So we have to offer everything in sacrifice to Krishna. And it's everything's according to Shastra, how to do this. But in the spiritual world, the Leela with Krishna there is one of love. It's also amounts to the same thing, offering everything to Krishna. But it is not so much according to any prescribed process, like in the Vedas. One is doing it directly from the heart, just out of spontaneous love. So that's the difference, you see. But liberation is there, even here. But to become liberated, then, you see, we have to be, in order to be qualified for liberation, then what it means is that we have to become very, very careful and attentive, very conscious in how we're dealing with Krishna's energies. You see, this is required for us because our attitude towards Krishna's energy has been so bad for so long. We have been thinking, I'm the Lord, and this is my energy to, manipulate. This is mine. We never thought, oh, this is a nice cushion. This is a place, for the Lord. It can be used in His service. No, this is for my head. This is how we think, everything me first. So this is why we're here in the material world, life after life after life after life. Because everything is me-centered. Who's number one? Me. You probably give seminars like that.
To a certain extent, if you look at the little children, that's what they are.
Yes.
Me, it's mine, it's mine.
Yes, that's what we are like. We are spiritually, we are infants, immature. And therefore, it's all very logical that, babies have to be taken care of by mother. So who's our mother? Mother is material nature. So she's, because we can't relate, like in a family, baby making so much noise, making big disturbance. Father has to stay away. Father has his own duties. He has his work to do, and a crying baby will disturb his mind. So father kind of stays away, and mother takes care of the baby. So similarly, when we're in this infant stage, we can't be with Krishna. So mother, material nature, she's taking care of us. And if we can see that much, that's already a great improvement. If you can just see material nature as your mother, then immediately we start to become respectful to her. The problem is when a baby becomes so mad, so wild, screaming, then the baby hits the mother and kicks her and just mad, totally insane. But mother's so patient, trying to calm the baby down, and this is what Prakriti is doing. You see. So if one can understand this much, that's already very advanced. Just that this material nature is like our mother nurturing us. This is people today. The green movement. I see these signs on the cars. No GE and NZ. Genetic engineering GE. So this is positive. Along with these trends, there's they want to become vegetarian. So this is positive. This is moving in the direction of sattva guna, and sattva guna means to see things more clearly. So to see the material nature as the nurturing mother energy, then you deal with material nature respectfully. You see, and then this is what Prabhupada is saying. It's so logical. If you start to can think this way, that material nature is mother, then you can start to think, well, then who's the father? Because Prabhupada gave the logic. Mother doesn't produce a child by herself. You see. There has to be a father somewhere. So then you can start, you see, when you come to this clear thinking, then one can start to think about who is the father. And that is Krishna. Very nice philosophy.
It is. So it is like the Mahabharata says, we can start from the spirit and slowly reduce it through meditation, and then goes into transcend. Is that philosophy still hold water? I'm just no. You can transcend. That's why they call it transcendental. Where you transcend from matter to spirit. Does that is that
you cannot do this by mind alone, because mind is also material. You see. So Bhagavatam has this term vimukta manina, that the impersonalists, they think that they are liberated. They have some, you just described some mental exercise, and they practice, and then by this they're thinking that they're liberated. But they're thinking in the mind, and the mind is material still. You see? So we actually have to rise above mind and intelligence and false ego and come to the pure self. And pure spirit soul is eternal, part and parcel servant of Krishna. And that can only happen. That requires transformation. You see? Transformation under this superior potency of the Lord. It's a transformation. It's not just a speculation. It's a transformation. As much as Srila Prabhupada, like your first question is about this
continuum.
The continuum of energy. So it is one energy. Like Prabhupada gives this brilliant analogy of electricity. Electricity is one energy, but it can do opposite things. This one same energy. You can have an electric stove, and you can have an electric freezer. You see? So the question of transformation is this, that if you want to go from, say, the cold creating functioning of the stove, of the freezer, it requires a great transformation. You cannot cook a meal on your freezer. You see, you cannot just sit down and meditate. Now I will pass the continuum from freezer to stove. Oh, now I'm there. Get the pots now. And we'll cook up some tofu and some noodles on our freezer. No, there is objective reality. So it requires a very sophisticated transformation. You know, someone, a very expert technician, can come in and all the parts of the freezer he could turn into a stove. Mostly.
So that is like
reconstruction.
That reconstruction is like the mercy of the Guru.
Yeah, mercy of Guru and Krishna.
Which he touches you and then you
yes.
transfer from there to a...
Yes.
On your own, it's not...
no, we cannot do it.
Maybe an electrician to come in.
Yes, superior power, superior intelligence must be there. You see, because this is Krishna's energy. This is you see, the fundamental flaw of the Mayavadis is that they're taking God to be themselves. You see, ultimately this Brahman is me, aham brahmasmi. So they're thinking they can do it, that just by coming to some, sublime meditation, that then the nature of this world, everything will change by what I do. And that's the mistake. The mistake is we are not God, you see. And this is God's energy. So even we come to the sublime state, the energy is under no compulsion to us to change at all. And this is why these Mayavadis, they really are in Maya, because they start to think, they get this silly smile on their face and thinking, I'm liberated and I can eat the pizza now and do any nonsense thing, and I'm liberated. And this is why they're very bad influence, because then they preach this philosophy and it becomes a philosophy of really, no transformation. There's no transformation. There's just imagine that you're liberated, So then this is like most of this New Age movement is like that now, Just keep the smile on your face.
Thank you.